Well, let's dive into today's session. And it's something that we've been, testing for years since it ever appeared. With Fireflies.ai, I think it was the first one. Or, you could say even Otter was already the pioneer in this direction, talking about meeting notes assistant based on artificial intelligence. Well, Fireflies appeared, and then we saw Meet Geek. We used Meet Geek a long time. They appeared, and they had really the best results when it came to taking notes during the meeting. So we switched from Fireflies to Meet Geek, and we used it ever since. However, now there are so many things appearing, not only dedicated meeting note takers, but now even implemented in our existing tools like ClickUp. The ClickUp has a native meeting note taker now that hooks into your meeting and takes note. And that's really interesting because it now feeds back into your existing business knowledge management system, in ours in this case, which we have done via automation previously using Zapier. So whenever Meet Geek recorded meeting notes, it sent these summaries to ClickUp. So we have just a list of these meeting notes there. Now ClickUp is doing itself. And even Loom. I mean, many of you probably know Loom as the video recording software that allows you to quickly share your screen and talk about it. This now also has meeting notes. And that's why when currently somebody books a discovery call with me, then there are 5 note takers coming in, all sending messages in the chat and saying, hey, I'm just an AI assistant. That's really strange. And today we added the last one on our list, which was Granular. Granular. It's a very popular one, it seems, in the big companies that teams use for note taking, and you take notes during the meeting, and then it will use the combination of the transcript and the notes that you have there and make sense out of it. So we want to talk about this a bit in more detail today, the different experiences that we had. But I think we start with the conclusion that we just had before this meeting. I sent out the meeting minutes from Granular to Paco from our agenda meeting today, right? It's a 3-hour meeting, and that makes it already tough for these agents to really make sense out of it. So I sent this to Paco, and I said, well, it's not too bad. The worst thing is always the action points. So they really understand what this was all about and what are the next steps. Usually either they miss the point or they make actions out of something that was never an action. So that was pretty close, but it was missing. And then Paco sent me a summary from his own notes back, and it was crystal clear. That was much more useful than any summary from any of the note takers that we use. So the question is now, as we have this with our inner circle members too, we had a discussion that they take advantage of these meeting notes and so on. I also always wondered, going back to these summaries takes more effort to me than having everything already crystal clear distributed in the different systems or in the different single source of truth is within the system. And going back through the meeting minutes and need to read it, to me, this is just double the effort. I have to go through the whole meeting again and extract then what I was missing. So that's, I think, something worth discussing today. Paco is already shaking his head.
Yeah, because I'm quite a skeptic about this type of tools. I think that we trust a lot in AI, in automations, and we forget that we need manual work, okay? Because we have to think something. We still are able to think. It's important to trying to force a little bit, okay, our brains and create manual works. I think that I don't get distracted when I'm jotting things down on a meeting because I just jot something down, sorry. If it makes sense, okay? If it makes sense, it's a quick note. It doesn't stop my flow. I'm paying attention to the things. And also, at that moment, you can confirm, okay, with the people there in the meeting if that's correct, if not, if there's some misunderstanding or whatever, because we have to think that just one mistake made by this AI thing destroys everything.
Yeah.
Right now he was saying something that it was a huge mistake. Imagine sending this summary to someone who wasn't on the. Imagine, no, that fantastic automation. It was a meeting for people. Two of them couldn't come. Then we got an automation. This AI generates the thing. It sends on autopilot. We don't care about anything at all, obviously. But imagine the results, the back and forth, the misunderstanding. Well, for me, at this moment, it's again. I think that meeting notes goes beyond the content that have been tackled during the meeting. Okay, there's a lot of contextual information that all the people who are inside the meeting, they know about it. They got an additional understanding of the things that allows them to make the right interpretations of the thing. Just think about the tone of voice, okay? I can make saying the exact same phrase or sentence something that it's an insult or something that is just a joke. Imagine all those subtleties in the language. Imagine all the different things that we say verbally. Imagine about all the, physical communication, because when you are in a meeting, you are making, in fact, traditional meetings are and work better than virtual meetings, okay, and digital meetings, because it's full of subtleties that we are not aware, but our brains are processing a lot of information that right now it's impossible for AI to achieve that contextual information so that the things that are written down make sense, okay? And I think that
there are two things to it. Well, first of all, as we keep saying, it's not that we are against AI. In fact, we've been one of the pioneers, leveraging the first AI tools ever out there. And we ever since tried to implement as much AI as possible to automate things and so on. And it's used daily in the paperless movement. But you have to be aware of the things that you're using it for, if it makes sense or not. And the moment you realize it's actually giving you more friction than it helps, that shows that the system is not working. I always keep comparing, whenever I question, can AI do this, comparing it with a personal assistant, a human personal assistant. It would be exactly the same issue. If we bring in a third person to our meetings, they have no context about our conclusions previously, the executive conclusions, the different other meetings we had. And this person is sitting there and taking notes for us and sending out meeting minutes after the call. I mean, this is exactly what happened in corporate when I worked there. And it was useless. It was just a summary of something everybody was aware anyway. And the reason why the things still didn't get done was because they weren't captured in the right system. That's the thing. It was just an email sending out summaries. And when you have a system where you have a perfect understanding between action and information, then you just directly update these systems during the meeting. That's one thing. So if there's an action appearing, something that AI says afterwards, right? And then you start writing down the actions. No, while in the meeting, an action comes up, it needs to be crystal clear where this action will live in the future so it gets done. So there needs to be a system and a defined tool within the system where you collect these actions. And then you have the perfect the perfect bird's eye view of this action too, so you understand, does it make sense in the broader concept, is it aligned with your goals? All these things, you have an advantage having it during the meeting, directly adding it to the system. Same is for information. When something is missing, you can update the knowledge there too. And the other thing is questioning if the meeting is necessary. So one is having the agenda meeting like we do and discussing what we will do during the week or what happened last week and things like that. And the other thing is consistently having meetings to make decisions moving forward. So I was sitting in back-to-back meetings in corporate discussing the same thing over and over again because it was never concluded in the right system. And that is another type of meeting that is redundant. And that's another, again, showing that this is a lack of system because it's hidden somewhere in the emails and people didn't look it up. So you rather meet this guy again, discussing the same things again, instead of having a single source of truth where everybody knows it's up to date, the source to go there and things like that. And I think
Yes, and
both of it I was able to reduce, incorporate, 50% less meetings by just having one tool where we collected actions and information. And clarity was there immediately. Sorry, Paco, now.
no, the thing is that we are skeptical at this moment, okay, because we consider that it's on an early stage, and things will evolve for sure, okay, and this AI will be aware right now with the last uh, update on ChatGPT about memorization. It's amazing, okay, if you ask ChatGPT what it knows about yourself, it's amazing. They have improved the outcome, because from time to time I keep trying these things based on all the context that I'm adding just by using it constantly day by day. And this will happen with the a meeting assistants. The thing is that it's important to create the actions correctly. It's important to dedicate time to, because when I'm in a meeting, I create the task quickly, okay? And we got processes, different processes and workflows that allows us to go through all those tasks and create them properly, okay? Because it takes no time to create a task properly, to give the right context, so that when you are facing that task that can happen, I don't know, 1 week from now, 2 hours from now, I don't know, in the future, I don't need to rethink anything, because I have perfectly specified there. And if I need to delegate that task, for instance, or assign it to any other person, everything is there. I think that dedicating time to perfectly describe the task is huge, talking about productivity, okay? And that's something that AI at this moment will never do, okay? They will just at least identify the right action, but the point is that giving the right context, so I can execute and complete quickly, okay, without going backwards, without checking some other system. No, that's the work that a person with context and knowledge about the thing needs to dedicate time to, okay? And I think that that's not a waste of time. We think that it's a waste of time because it's kind of mechanical, okay? Something that it's manual, that it seems that manual work is wasted time. And I think just the opposite, okay? If the person has coherence, and we believe so, okay, the task will be created perfectly in the right system, with the right context, with everything to make things run really smoother. Because it's important to know that we need to think about our future selves, and nobody but ourselves will take care better of our future selves, okay? So we will take care of our team members, of ourselves, when creating an action and giving all the additional information, so that it's easy. Because when I'm on execution mode, I don't want to start, looking for information. That destroys completely the energy to execute things at a peak level, okay? And I think that that's something that right now it's impossible also for AI. And many people are unproductive or reduce their efficiency because of this, okay? Because they consider that dedicating time after a meeting, okay, to create things properly or jot things down quickly. That's something that I do. I at least create things quickly so I don't forget about anything at all that I haven't jotted down during the meeting, okay? So that everything is perfect. And now, right now, I need to do certain things after the agenda meeting. I will perfectly create and calmly, okay, having a coffee, the actions, because I don't know how many, but we are talking about 8, 10, I don't know, several actions that need to be described perfectly to see if there are redundancies, if you can simplify the things, if what you thought it was an action, it isn't nothing at all because it was really stupid the moment that you take time to think about it. You can think about additional actions, because that's the moment that you can, consolidate all the knowledge of the meeting and make a meeting useful. Because if not, we have just spent the time, have created something randomly there. We will need in the future, if this is not done properly, to talk again. What did you say? I thought that all those back and forth that create friction because you start interrupting people, you start interrupting yourself, you start looking for additional information. Well, you can see that this has a massive impact talking about productivity. And just because we wanted, that AI would take care of a action, a process that is quite complex, okay? It's quite complex. And the same way that AI is really amazing about summarizing, expressing better an idea, giving you additional perspectives to something, to create these context-related things is not working properly because context is real difficult. It's a really difficult issue and topic. That happens whenever someone who has not been aware of the things that has been going on go into a meeting. It's ridiculous, okay? They don't say anything with common sense. They don't have no clue, that's a person that has the context of a certain project, of a company, of who we are, of the different things that we perform, our position. Well, a lot of knowledge that we take for granted, but that AI has no clue, okay? Because nobody told AI about all this additional information that becomes crucial, because this is not about the actions themselves, but the consequences and why the actions make sense. And without context, it's impossible. It's impossible to create something that delivers value when you are not adding all the information to execute and complete a specific task.
Yeah, and now I'm just checking here the Meet Geek summary that is sent out via email. I'm not even bothering counting all the actions that created. It is at least 30 different actions with a full paragraph of description. And well, I like the idea. The principle is great. When you look at it, it gives me a paragraph with the action and the timestamp where this action was made. Now I can click on it. It opens up the meeting. It jumps to the point. This is the right direction. That's great. And but it starts at minute 16 and it goes all the way through until 2 hours and 58 minutes, right? So, and it finds actions all over the place, of course, but I don't think we have 30 different actions from this meeting. So just by this, it gives me anxiety in my brain that I need to work on the summary itself. But something that Vincent said in the member chat, I've never seen anything wrong with Crisp.ai, Crisp with a K. Not saying it's as good as Paco. Nothing will ever be. Well, probably not, especially when it comes to writing. But out of all the ones I've tested and seen, I think Crisp is the leader right now. I agree, though, with being skeptical. I only use it as a transcript tool to go back if I need to figure out something of what was said. And this is exactly the reason why we keep using it too. There might be at some point a moment where you have to look up something, and then these tools are really great. It also gives you a quick click of a button. As I said, with the timestamp, you jump into the direction. And what I really found really interesting with the granular, I still don't know. Granular or granular, okay? Granular. That when you have the summary, you can click on any of the bullet points and it will then go into the transcription. It gives you another summary on this bullet point. So you can have a conversation about the meeting notes. But then, I don't know, I think searching for keywords is faster than waiting for the AI to write down a summary. And then you cannot be sure if it is 100% right. And John in the member chat, I've been finding more serious errors with AI lately that I can't rely on any outputs. Is checking the work more time consuming now? Yeah, that's the point. I always feel friction when I have the feeling I have to go through the meeting minutes again. And we had a inner circle member who had a perfectly laid out workflow with the meeting minutes afterwards, with the meeting summaries, that after the meeting, he goes through the things, he moves in it. That might be your workflow, but after he implemented the ICOR methodology and has the system correctly set up, it became so flawless during the meeting to capture the things in the right places, or just jot down quick notes to make this later on, that it felt again redundant to do the actual additional work to go back through the meetings. And that's, I remember being a student in university, I was one of those students who tried to capture everything the professor said. So I ended up with exactly the same script as he had there. And I learned nothing out of it. So I realized by rather listening and making some key words or points that I was looking up later, that it helped a lot more than trying to just duplicate what was said, because most of it is just noise and you have to filter the key takeaways out. And that's what AI is not able to do, because everybody in a meeting, everybody in a lecture has different knowledge levels and understandings of different areas of the whole context, that you have to make individual notes for yourself in your personal knowledge management system that makes sense for you. And that's not possible. I cannot take notes for Paco, and he cannot take notes for me, because we will have different different things that we want to keep in mind, or that we heard for the first time, or things like that.
No, and also how do we interpret an action? Because something that for you can be one action, for me can be 5, because I'm thinking that I need to send this to this person and then this person. So it's much better to, there's a lot of going on our brains, that we are not aware of, that we do on autopilot because it has become second nature. And that's something really difficult to replicate. For instance, I remember in Tana that has another meeting assistant, okay, the PKM tool.
Yeah.
They started creating automated objects based on the transcript. So imagine filling in your task management system with things that AI thinks that are tasks. Well, they have to roll back and then let the user confirm if they wanted to create that type of object in their system. Because if not, imagine AI
that's something that
this is a specific type of object. So that's something that it creates noise, filtering and distilling that, because after a meeting you are completely exhausted. Revisit by going through the transcript or whatever, or the summary, and I prefer to go. And also that's the concept of assistant. You do things on the go as the system is running, as the meeting is running, and that's it. And the end, you dedicate, 5, 10 minutes, 15 to polish the things, and then later on create the process, okay, and dedicate the time to the process of creating things properly in the right system, depending on the nature, okay, and the source of those actions.
And I think it is a big marketing lie, promoting that AI will do everything for you. And this again goes back to the ICOR methodology. Actually, the output elements where we differentiate between projects and work streams. And whenever we talk about work streams, these are just projects that are recurring. And as we keep saying, as soon as something is recurring, you can optimize it and you can streamline it and you can remove friction. But something that is just a one-off meeting or something like that, it's not worth optimizing. It doesn't mean that you can, but why should you if it is just a one instance? So this is where AI becomes powerful, like a personal assistant would do, right? The moment something is recurring. So that's why I like Meet Geek, as you can create custom templates there. So it's extracting data from the meeting based on your templates. And that's something that you can use with the new AI agents. And I'm building in the backend using Lindy and N8N and all the things that's occurring on YouTube. All they sound great, but in a day-to-day basis, it's nonsense. Unless you have a recurring workflow or project. So one example would be, for example, the discovery calls that I have with our members and talking about the inner circle. Does it make sense? That would be a recurring thing. So I could tell AI to extract the necessary information in a specific table or something like that. So I'm extracting only predefined data that I keep reusing to write a proposal, for example. Okay, something we don't do with the inner circle, but if it would be a sales calls where proposals are involved that are more or less always the same, and you always need a specific set of information in order to write this proposal, then it would make sense to have an AI agent in the meeting that extracts from the transcript only this piece of information that allows you to write a proper proposal. I don't know, maybe even make a draft of the proposal to give get you started. But then it makes sense with data extraction from transcripts. And like John says in the chat, my current workflow is to take notes and screenshots while AI is transcribing. Then I refine my notes with the AI summary for anything I missed. And that's something that granular, again, you take notes during the meeting and then it combines it with the transcript in order to enrich these notes. But again, to me, data extraction and giving the data the structure for recurring processes, this is something really useful. I increased team performance by 60% by doing exactly the same thing in a manual fashion. That there was no proper data set to do the work. And the moment I forced things to people to fill out forms and always provide the right data, we never missed. All this back and forth was killed. And I think this is something that AI could always extract from a meeting. Even during the meeting, if something wasn't mentioned during the meeting, maybe in the end, giving a warning, oh, this wasn't discussed yet, something like that. So you are sure that after each workflow, you get the right set of data that you can then use to further process in your workflow.
And I think that there's a key component of any productivity system and in general in life, that is trust. And I think that trust is everything, okay, related to relationships, to whatever, but also to the productivity system. I can fully trust my productivity system. I can guarantee that any action will be completed. I can guarantee 100% that anything will be found and fast. And with this type of implementations based on AI, I cannot trust with 100% because that's the important thing. I don't care if it's 90%. 90% means nothing. It has to be perfect. It's the only way to really trust on something when you know that it cannot fail, okay? And that's important.
So here we can go to the ClickUp AI again as an example. Too many times I knew it was inside ClickUp somewhere and it never was able to find it to me, even telling me it is not, there's nothing about this topic. So thinking about working with a team and they trust on the response from AI and then you just keep it. And now they launched ClickUp AI agents. So it is assigning you to the task that thinks that makes sense. It sets the priorities accordingly. It changes the due date. So we're going into the motion area where the project management tool Motion doing exactly the same thing. And as I said already, I think in the last session, I want to speak to a team who is actually living the dream with the constant changes of due dates and priorities with their tasks during the week or whatever. And the same is for ClickUp. I don't believe in this at all. It might make sense in a support ticket system where different people are in there and then they get assigned to different tickets and things like that. I don't know, but for normal project work, this is nonsense.
And also, is that I always wonder the why behind this story. Yeah. Because for me, all those operations takes no time. Okay, what takes time is to really execute and complete the thing, and that's something that AI at this moment won't do. So talking about that organizational thing, I don't need that type of organization at all, because for me, it's something that takes nothing at all. I can quickly capture anything. I can quickly schedule. For me, that takes no time. So for me, it doesn't deliver any real added value for me, and it creates noise. And we need signal. We need simplicity. That's why we created ICOR, because it's the simplest way to build a productivity system you can trust on. And that's the important thing. And I think that all these type of AI implementations try to create systems for people who don't know how to create them. Yeah. And it's really difficult because we know what create a system is. It's full of nuances, of subtleties. It depends on how every single person works. That's why we concluded that ICOR should be implemented the way that you should consider based on your situation and how you work, how you think, what your environment is. And we are trying AI to assume that responsibility, that it's really difficult. We know that this is growing quite fast, but still there's a long time to go with this because it's really difficult. It's really difficult, specifically when you deal with people who know their thing. Okay, that's the thing. It's like the surgeon. That at the end it can be helped by AI or whatever, but it's the human knowledge and human experience and human context that really delivers. Okay, the final responsibility of all these type of things. Obviously, we're gonna be added, and that's what we are implemented here at the Paperless movement. Is we are running much better with AI, but we are not delegating the whole responsibility of, because at the end it's, well, let's say, why not AI? Think about the decisions that we should do with the company. Man, what the heck? It's impossible to tell AI to run a business, okay? Strategically. We don't think about that thing. Then why do we think about building a protected system based, or designed and built by AI? For me, at this moment, it's something that it's a little impossible. And the thing is that I think that these people who are fully into this are gonna, end up with frustration, okay, because the results won't come. They will waste their time. I can imagine these people, going through these summaries, fighting with stupid things, because people who cannot design and build a protected system, that doesn't mean that they are, stupid people. They're super smart people that just want to be helped by technology, And in this case, technology is not helping. It's creating obstacles, things that they need to overcome. And that reduces the clarity, and the sensation of feeling overwhelmed increases a lot. And I think that technology should do just the opposite, that is helping us.
Fully agree. And I think there are spaces for this, like being a doctor and you have a patient and you want to have information about our knowledge workers in general, where you have meetings with other people. There's a lot of information that are new and you want to digest this later. Then it makes all the sense. But from the day-to-day business work in a typical corporate, but even solopreneur and many things, there's not much that AI can do better than having a proper system set up in the first place. And I'm really mad because this is a marketing scam. And we had this before with the one and all app, and every other company tries to be this one and only solution. This is a lie already. And now everybody's jumping on this AI thing. I mean, it started with MEM, right? Where you have the note-taking app and AI is supporting you. That was a great move in the right direction. But then everywhere, Notion got AI, ClickUp got AI, and they just added AI for the sake of AI. And it was never really helpful in these systems. And as you said, not reliable. That's the problem. And now we have the next big thing where they take over the whole management of your calendar. And that's really dangerous, because it is just giving you a solution to a symptom where you don't heal the cause. It is just, keeping you busy and distracted and just giving you a confirmation that you are the problem, while it is your system that is the problem, and no AI in the world will help. But again, you don't have to look so much into the future. In the past, it was hiring people, and you think it will bring the solution to your business and you're less overwhelmed. And then you realize the moment you have all the people, you're even more overwhelmed, because you have to constantly think about what they're doing. Then they don't do it in the way that you wanted to do. And then we come into you have to have proper standard operating procedures. You have to proper workflows defined so everybody knows what to do. You have to have functions. And this is the moment where the same applies to AI. You have to treat AI as hiring a person, just a much more efficient person that can do anything that you wish, but not telling you, I would change it differently and I would work differently. No, it's not telling you. It's pleasing you and say, oh yeah, you're the greatest. So it becomes the people pleaser for you, and you will never realize the actual underlying issue. So the key takeaway from this session is really, if you haven't set up a proper system in the first place, don't even think about automation or AI. That's something we keep saying. We have a whole course called Automation Like a Pro, where we double down on first optimizing your workflows and then thinking about automation. And people are always amazed how much more efficient they become by doing manual work efficiently instead of trying to automate things with friction. So you're just scaling bad systems this way. And the same applies in AI. So get this right first and then look into AI. It is helpful, but only in specific use cases to enhance your overall workflows. Everybody?
Correct.
John says it well as well. My saying is you can't automate chaos. Yeah. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. Everybody, we catch you guys up next week or inside the membership during the week.
Okay. See
Have
you
a good
guys.
time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.